Hello everybody and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and we're playing Evolved Custom Scenarios. My voice is a little bit hoarse, I apologize. I am recording this shortly after having a good hour and a half long Q&A session on Discord, and it's hard to talk for that long without losing your voice entirely. Alright, Custom Scenarios, back to requests. This one has been waiting for a little bit, apologize for this one. It is called FBI_Russia_elimination. There it is. By Eddie Bingo. Spallin. Not Stalin? Actually, wait. The author did send me something about the story, sort of, kind of. Hang on. Okay, I'm gonna read this to you. There is a small backstory with Spallin, a character from one of the main game events where you can make the USA nuke Russia or China. And in this, as opposed to nuking them, she deploys a pathogen in Russia, but it goes out of control, etc. Okay, I will just take this as some sort of an alternate reality or something, I guess. I don't know. Spallin has insisted that Russia is behind all of the USA's problems. So, wait, is Spallin in the USA? Is Spallin Trump? Or okay, so she has sent a nanovirus loose there in order to take care of them. Little did she know that the pathogen was worse than she thought. A few days after being released, the lead scientist explained the potential consequences, and now they are broadcasting the kill switch ASAP. Will they be quick enough? Who the heck is Spallin, and why did she have this much power? I mean, they're trying to stop what they're doing, I guess. Okay, this is set in... Oh, see, there we go. Alternate universe, where there was another disease that had insanity, so Spallin got into power. Oh, there's so much more backstory in this. Okay, I get it now. And then it was cured, and Spallin has seen the power of the pathogens. Supposed to be very fast-paced. ATP boost is recommended. Praise Pravus. Okay, let's give this one a shot. Alternate universe, Spallin is actually American, blames Russia for all of our problems, and decides to unleash a pathogen, and then someone's like, you know, that probably wasn't a good idea, and she's like, you know what? Good point. Let's broadcast the kill switch. Nanovirus type. So ATP boost. Bonus DNA at the beginning. All right, let's go for that. Genetic mimic, herbophile. I usually go for herbophile with the nanovirus. I guess we'll stick with that. And symptostasis. PAX 12. Whatever. Spallin. Damn it, Stevens, I said release it. Dr. Dave Stevens. But we haven't finished testing. Now, Stevens, now! God, she's nuts. It can what? Why didn't you tell me? We hadn't finished the latest round of tests. Spare me the science talk. Just broadcast the failsafe. Sounds to me like Spallin's the moron in all of this one, but okay. Russia's already been infected by 80 million people. Yikes. Transmission. Livestock 1, Livestock 2. Probably Livestock 3 down here. All right, so we're super infective in Russia. Symptoms. Pneumonia for cold climates, sneezing, pulmonary edema for some lethality, sweating for cold countries, and rash. All right, so we're very well suited to dealing with Russia. And abilities. Cold, cold, cold. Even better. Uprising. Break free of what the USA wants. Go beyond their control. Absolutely. Screw them. All right, so we got abiliatic growth. Gain access to even greater abilities. Transsomatic growth. Powerful transmissions. Symptomatic growth. More deadly and severe symptoms. We have drug resistance and heat resistance. Alrighty. Symptoms here. We have shortness of breath. Pathogen gains access to the respiratory tract, replicating in the lungs, causes a shortness of breath, slightly more infective. Okay. Anemia, hypoxia, cysts, abscesses, which is actually a pretty good amount of infectivity as well as severity, and insomnia. Inability to sleep makes people irritable and less productive. We'll do that to slow down any cure progress. We have access to boards. Avian character increases infectivity, land transmission, and mutation. Water, air, and fomites. Okay, wow! Alright, Sudan, of all places, is the one that starts working on the cure to help out their good old buddy Russia. Let's go for some water transmission, a couple levels of that, because I'd love to get some islands kind of early on before we kill all of Russia, because that seems likely at this point. I'll also go ahead and pick up some air, since they do have an airport, and getting off to other countries early would be a good idea. So, right off the bat, I'm noticing that there are no kill switches and stuff that you usually would do with the nanovirus. You know, replicator overloads and stuff like that, which means this really is going to be a fast-paced scenario. We have to beat it before they can cure us, which generally happens very fast. So I'm going to go for paranoia. We'll also go for the cysts and the hypersensitivity for the rich regions, since we are getting into a few of those. Russia's already shutting down all their stuff, okay? We're already up to 19% cure progress to give you an idea. This is going to be a little bit tricky. Ignoramus. People get so distracted and tired, it's hard to focus on the important things in life, like not walking off a cliff. Yes, that is a very minor important thing in life. Can be lethal for some people. Idiots. And Spallin is not a very compassionate person. Fomites? Sure. And also birds for land transmission. Let's just open up a few different avenues to get around. We may need to start unlocking some new transmission types, or perhaps better symptoms? I do have symptostasis, so that might make sense. Lung scaring? You sure you don't mean lung scarring? Rashes develop inside the lungs, cause them to scar. Causes shallow breath. Can be fatal when combined with extreme exercise. Bonus infectivity in urban areas. All right. Lethality doesn't seem that important to me at the moment. Shortness of breath leads to coughing, which is good. Pulmonary hemorrhage. Bit of lethality there, too. We are in Greenland. Alrighty. We do need some heat resistance and probably some drug resistance, since we are having some trouble there. Let's actually go for the extra transmissions to start. We have Corpse Feeder. Okay, Corpse Transmission is useful. I'll pick it up. So now I feel like I can actually go for some extra symptom growth. Because the sooner we start killing, the better that's going to start slowing down the cure progress. So now that we have Corpse Feeder, I feel a lot better about that. Let's go for the symptomatic growth. That leads to headache. Cure progress slows. Useful. Subconjunctival bleed. Decreases cure speed. Useful. Conjunctival irritation. Research speed. Useful. Chest pains. Irregular heartbeat. Doesn't do anything yet. Could be useful later. Muscle spasms. Some lethality. Some conjunctival hemorrhage. Research speed. Aneurysm. Not as lethal as one might have expected. I might want to go for the pulmonary hemorrhage, honestly. That probably would be better for me at this point. In fact, I think I will. That leads to hyperrespiratory shutdown. Lungs fill up with blood from scars and cause people to drown on land simply by lying down or falling over. Very fatal. Don't fall asleep. All right. So we're still missing a lot of hot countries, which bothers me. There's the aneurysm. Japan leading global cure progress. How are we supposed to get into Madagascar is my question. Like, this is supposed to be a fast-paced scenario, but I mean, maybe we'll find an option to get in there for free or something. I'm not sure. Let's get better abilities. Do we get spores? Okay, hang on. That's actually good to know. So it does reduce infectivity in the long run if you have a significant boost of infectivity now. So this is the overload I was talking about. Broadcast interceptor, which destroys the cure for a while. I don't think we're going to get anything that allows me to just jump into Madagascar for free, though. We may have to restart. I mean, the cure isn't as bad as I thought it would be. I mean, it's not great. Muscle spasms, yes. We're also missing out on the Caribbean. Yeah, this could be a little bit tricky. Extreme heat resistance. No idea what happens down there. Air 2. Bioaerosol. Corpse feeder. Insects. Yeah, I think we have to restart. Unfortunate. All right. Okay, so I have attempted this a few more times, and I am not convinced that it is winnable in its current state. Or if it is, it requires all the stars to kind of align, as long as you're playing on normal difficulty or above. Easy, maybe you can make it work. The problem here is the island nations. I don't have a problem with a scenario that is fast-paced that makes you go really quick. I have no problem with that whatsoever. However, in this case, the strategy that I'm going to try to employ here is to focus on getting a hefty amount of severity and infectivity very early on to get a good amount of DNA, then using that to ramp up my water transmission, a little bit of air transmission to get around, maybe some birds, and then focus on getting a lot of heat resistance in my attempt to gradually work my way down toward India and so on. And then, once I'm in those nations, using the abiliatic growth plus 2 replication factory overcharges to give me a ton of infectivity and pray that boats will get into Madagascar, Indonesia, New Guinea, the Philippines, New Zealand, Australia, Greenland, and the Caribbean. The hot ones are definitely the hardest, and so far this is my best attempt where I got into all of them except for New Zealand. And everything else is pretty much not an issue. So I don't know really what else can be done here. I feel like I have exhausted the most likely strategies, so unless there's a hidden button somewhere that makes this easier than I thought, I don't know if this is currently winnable in its current state. So I mean, we can grab some of these and see if they unlock something special. Doesn't look like it. Symptomatic growth. Blood mismatch. Cure takes longer. Yeah, there's a few different ways of slowing down the cure, and the cure is actually not so much the issue. Broadcast interceptor overload is a thing. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's the only way you'd have a chance, is you have to keep your severity low and don't go for any symptoms in the beginning. Try to get around as much as you can. And then use the only 2 broadcast interceptor overloads that you have to stop down the cure when it's at 90%, and then rush out symptoms and try to get into those islands. I don't know. As it is right now, I think that in its current state, this may be an unwinnable scenario. It needs some play testing here. It's really the islands that are the hard part, so maybe if you increased water transmission or something, you'd have a better shot. But that's the problem that I'm having right now, and I have given this another 4 or 5 attempts. I don't think it's winnable currently. So that would have to be my main criticism right now. The author did express some concern that it would be too fast. Again, I'm not opposed to a fast-paced scenario, but you got to keep in mind, if you're going to make it a fast-paced scenario where you're really, operating against the clock, that you have to still be able to get into all these islands in time. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it one more shot. Oh my god, I think I actually may have it. Oh, wow. Okay, hang on. That is the strategy. Okay, hang on. It may actually be winnable. This time, the only thing I did is I went for insomnia and paranoia, and those 2 symptoms only, just to slow down the cure from the beginning and get a little severity to gain a little bit of gas. Everything else has been mutation, and I focus exclusively on getting transmissions and a bunch of resistances, and then use 2 replication factory overloads once I knew I had a pretty strong position in the countries that could send boats to those island nations. So now we actually are in all of the islands, and I have a chance at winning this. Okay, hang on. This is good. This is good. We are going to go for probably some transmission growth there and corpse feeders, and then I'm going to focus on getting some lethality. With, let's say, lung scarring and ignoramus. That's not much, really. Shortness of breath, coughing, lead to the pulmonary hemorrhage. Okay, we actually have a chance of winning this. Now I just have to rush the outrace the cure. That's going to be a little bit difficult just because I don't have a ton of DNA to work with here. Yeah, this actually still will be very difficult because I don't have a lot of DNA. And symptomatic growth apparently has greatly increased in cost, which is a huge problem for me. Oh my god, is this on frickin' Mega Brutal? Why is everything so expensive? All right, we have to go for the pulmonary hemorrhage in order to get some lethality, in order to have a chance at killing people fast enough. Blue blood, great. Hemophilia is great. I need to save up for the symptomatic growth if I want to have enough symptoms to slow down the cure progress. So let's grab that next. I mean, yeah, am I completely out of gas now? There are no healthy people left in the world. Yeah, now I'm completely out of gas, and I am just relying on bubbles and a little bit of lethality and mutation chance to carry me to victory here, which is never very comfortable. I could pick up things like headache and such to try and slow down the cure, and that would buy me some time. What I need is a lot more lethality. I actually don't think I needed the corpse feeders. Turns out we were going to be fine. I'll go for the cheap stuff like headache and so on, just to slow down the cure a little bit. I need mutation chance, though. Okay, hemophilia. That's good. Blood mismatch. Cure takes longer to develop. It's free, so all right, we'll grab that. Slows down the cure significantly. I'll buy the cheap things, because that way mutation chance gets extra value by getting things that are more expensive, like coma, like hyper-respiratory shutdown. Okay, so now we're just going to have to sit back and wait for a minute. Yeah, I'm having to use jump cuts here because I'm really sitting back and sitting around for a long time. The good news is apparently we have stacked enough cure research obstacles that really the cure is making no progress at all. I've been sitting here for a while and it's still sitting at 71%. So, oh, it's actually going down. Okay, we have negative cure progress. So, what it means is I will win this scenario. It's only a matter of time. It just so happens it's going to be a very, very long time. You know what I'm realizing is I actually should have picked up the gene where you get DNA from popping blue bubbles, because there's so much sitting around, this actually would have translated into a lot of extra DNA. Probably. I don't know. I mean, maybe that would ruin the early game pacing, so I wouldn't be able to beat it. I don't know. As long as you can still get to this stage, popping the blue bubbles is a good thing. Well, we are slowly crawling to the finish line right now. I have spent every bit of DNA I've gotten on things that would increase my mutation chance, praying that we would get something that would give me a reasonable amount of lethality, and no such luck. So really, the criticism I have for this scenario is pacing. It's all about the pacing here. I don't have a problem with a scenario being fast-paced. That's fine. As long as it's actually winnable on a difficulty that's higher than easy. This one is clearly winnable, but holy crap, is it a chore? Oh, now the hyper-respiratory kicks in. Of course it does. Okay. So the trick absolutely is to go for no symptoms in the beginning and just focus on getting a lot of transmission, get into a lot of countries on the southern coast of Asia, and then pop the respiratory replicator to get into your islands. Then you can ramp up lethality. The problem is you run out of gas because you didn't get a lot of severity in the early game. One thing that could really have sped a lot of this up, especially once you get to the point where I've actually gotten into all the nations, now it's a matter of killing them in a reasonable amount of time. What would speed it up is mutation chance. If, let's say, in this tier of symptoms, you had something that could help greatly increase mutation chance, that alone would go a long way to speed this up. Or something that would actually give you more than a tiny, tiny sliver of lethality. Anything along those lines would have worked. Otherwise, you know, it's a difficult scenario. Like, kudos to you for making a scenario that actually really made me think through the strategy. This was actually harder to me than playing, say, the Bacteria on Mega Brutal. This is a little bit trickier. We really have to figure out the pacing of it. But once I figured it out, now it's a chore where I've sat here for the last, like, 8 to 10 minutes, just waiting for it to end. 1,386 days. That is one of the longest scenarios I've ever done. So something simple like that would not ruin the early game balance, although I would recommend revisiting that as well, but at least it would fix the late game, or have a chance to do so. That would be one recommendation I could give you. Otherwise, yeah, it's just a bit long. It's difficult. It requires a very specific path. Difficult is not bad, but it's more difficult for normal difficulty than I think it probably ought to be. Still, it's a custom scenario. I can't expect you to play test it to be perfect at all tiers of difficulty. I don't know. Yeah, I'll say I recommend it, but yeah, I'd recommend fixing it a little bit. I don't know. What do you guys think down in the comment section? What kind of feedback could you offer here? Because I'm kind of tapped out there. I'm not really sure what else to say. It seems to me it's all about the pacing. But if there's something specific you could offer that you think would fix it, by all means, propose it down below. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, then I ask that you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.